Hey guys, how are you? It's me, Lauren B. I had just gotten an email from one of the bees, and it posed like a really good question, and I felt as though my response is something that should be kind of shared, or I'm being told and guided that it's a response that should be shared because I feel like some of you guys could probably use this or hear this too. So the question that was asked of me was about faith. And she had asked me, I'm really waiting. I'm having faith and trust that like things will work out. People are looking at me like I'm crazy. But I'm just trying to like do my walk. And at what point does like faith and just trusting that like everything's gonna work out, like when does that cross over into, passivity? Right? Like how much can the universe like really do for you? And it's a really valid question. It really is. It's a really valid question. And so what I had explained or expressed was that, I mean, one, so much of it like comes down to discernment, right? That there's there's different kinds of waiting, right? It's like we wait for things all the time, right? Like we wait for our season. We wait for clarity. We wait for instructions, right? Like what do I do next? What do I do while I'm waiting? Which is really important, right? Because if you're being told to kind of like cool your jets and wait for, the Lord to move on your behalf, then it's really important to be asking like, well, what do I do when I'm waiting? Because you're never just waiting. It's also a time to rest and heal and align and really like prepare yourself, right? If you're waiting for something, then it means that in reality, like you're really just preparing yourself for your next season in whatever way that is for you, whether it's through learning, whether it's gathering new skills, whether it's balancing yourself, healing yourself, aligning yourself, right? Getting your ducks in a row for the place that you're going to be next. But it was such a valid question. Like, when does it go over into passivity, right? And so I shared, a story, like my kind of personal story, which I suppose I'll share with you guys that, a year ago, just crossing into 2020, I was just kind of like in the beginning stages of my journey. Like I knew about God and I knew about spirit guides and I knew about manifestation and all of this kind of stuff. But I was still so deep in like healing process and purging phases, and I was really going through it. And so it was really hard for me to discern my guidance and my guides. And I felt in so many ways that I was just like floating, right? I was waiting, but I was floating and I didn't really understand what I was supposed to be doing. And during that time, I was really pushed to take a lot of steps that I didn't want to take, that I was super uncomfortable taking. And like you guys have seen, if you followed like the little starseed oracle videos that I've done, I'm always like, I don't want to do this video, but they're making me, right? Like even now I'm still pushed to be taking steps. Like currently in my life right now, I'm being pushed to take steps that like, I'm like, I'm not super confident in making that step or opening myself up to that or thinking about that. And they're like, but you got to take that step. So a year ago, I was pushed to really start working with cards like a lot more heavily, right? And I felt weird about that, and I didn't feel confident in my skills, and I didn't really know a lot of like the background about the history of the cards or all of their meanings, right? But they pushed me to take that step and start doing it. So like, okay. And then after some time, they started pushing me to kind of start making my YouTube channel, and I was like, I don't want to put myself out on the internet for strangers to see me doing something that I'm not even feeling super confident to do, right? But they kept pushing me and they kept pushing me. And then there would be confirmations, and then people, like Sand would like encourage me to do it. And I was like, all right, not only is it spirit, but now they're sending messages through other people to get me to do this. All right. And they, asked me to take the step to put myself out there visibly. And I'm a pretty stone cold loner. I am a high functioning loner, like tried and true. you know, and they asked me to take the steps to post reading after reading after reading, and nobody was watching them. If you go to the beginning of my channel, you'll still see videos that there's like 2 views on. Like, I was like, no one's watching these. Like, why am I making these? Like, I'm supposed to help people, but no one's watching them. So who am I helping? Like, I didn't understand, right? So I kept, do it. And I got pushed to take steps to leave relationships and cut out attachments and to move into places and to move out of places and then move back into places and then move out of other places and back and forth, right? And I got pushed to like address all of these things within myself that like I didn't want to address. And, you know, I got pushed to do healing work that I didn't feel like doing, and just like all of this stuff, right? And when, you know, my channel started taking off, you know, and I was really tired and I was like working my regular job still, you know, I got pushed to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and film these videos. I have a word for you today, Lauren. Go film it in your car on your way to work, right? And then I'd go to work and I'd get pushed to vocalize about my channel and what I was doing and my belief systems. And people would look at me like I was crazy, right? But, you know, they liked me. So they were like, oh, that's really great for you, Lauren. Like, so happy for you. And then, you know, snicker, you know, and that was really hard for me, but they pushed me to do it. You know, and then I'd come home and then I'd film videos like till I was like super late at night. And then they were pushing me to do that and pushing me to do that. And I was like, okay. And, you know, I wasn't seeing like that much growth. And I was like, again, I don't understand why you're asking me to do this stuff. It doesn't make any sense to me. And they're like, just keep going. Just keep taking another step. Just keep taking another step. And then in October, you know, they asked me to take the step to like quit my job. Like, I don't even know if I've really like expressed that on here, but, you know, they told me in October to quit my job. And I was like, that's a really big step. Like, I've worked at this place for a really long time. Like, my entire social group is wrapped up in these coworkers, these people I work with. I don't have a backup plan. I don't have a safety net. I don't have anything. Like, and they were like, you need to take this step. And I was like, okay, so I'm going to take this step, right? And it's all kind of led me to where I am now, right? And so again, it goes back to that topic of, you know, discernment is, you know, while you're waiting for things, it's what can I be doing to prepare? Like, what season am I in? They always say a wise person knows their season. Like, there have been so many times, like, I thought I was walking into the promised land and I was being led like straight into the wilderness, you know. And there have been times that I've been in the wilderness and they're like, we're leading you into the promised land now. And I'm like, are you sure? Because it looks pretty wild out here. Like, it looks pretty damn wild out here. If you say so, do you say so, Jesus, right? And so, you know, this email, it was really good timing, because it really brings up the whole point of faith in motion, right? Because it takes faith to wait. It takes faith to like hear something from God, from the universe, from your guides, even get confirmation through, you know, a man, a woman of God, a reader, a cardinal, a feather, right? And then be like, okay, all right. It takes a lot of faith to like wait for your time, to like wait for your season. Every dog has its day, but like, when's my day coming, right? Especially when you don't feel like you have a lot of support, right? Or if you're new in an industry and it's like no one's walking around like giving you high fives, and you feel like you're in like one of those 80s movies where it's like you're the one kid sitting like at a cafeteria table all by yourself, and you're like, wow, I'm really carrying this cross. Like, I'm really doing this like all by myself. Ain't nobody here to help me. Like, okay. Like, it takes a lot of faith to like wait out those seasons, wait out those times, and you're doing something that doesn't make any sense, not only to anyone else, but it doesn't even really make sense to you, right? And not only do people look at you like you're crazy, but you feel a little bit crazy, and you start second guessing yourself. Like, is this even real? Like, am I really hearing? Did I just imagine this in my head? Like, you know, but it takes a lot of faith to wait on the Lord, to wait on the universe to start making moves for you. But I think what takes even more faith is taking a step. Taking a step takes even more faith than waiting, because that requires faith in motion. Faith in motion. It's to really take that step right off the cliff, and you do that, and it's like the wind just smacks you in the face, right? I know some of you know what I'm talking about. You take that step and it's like you feel that vertigo. It's like you feel that drop, right? And you're going and you're like, wait, I thought like an army of angels was supposed to come like lift me up. Like the second, like my second foot wasn't even supposed to get off that cliff. Like I was already supposed to be like, ah. No, it was just like, I'm feeling the wind. It's real cold. Like, oh my God, you know, and your face does that thing. It's like, but having that trust that before you hit that ground, they gonna catch your ass, right? Faith in motion. It's not just an exercise. Doing things, following your guidance, going places, doing things, starting things, ending things that feel so uncomfortable, for you. It's not just an exercise of faith. It's also just an exercise of trust, right? How do you build trust and intimacy in any relationship? It's through communication and it's through dependability, right? I'm being honest with you. I tell you I'm going to do something and then I do it. So then you know that you can trust me. Then you know that you can rely on me. Then you know I'm not going to let you down. And it's very similar in building that relationship with Source, Spirit, the divine, God. It's the same thing, right? And it starts in little increments. I'm going to ask you to do this one little thing. So just do it. See what happens. Okay, I'm nervous. I feel nauseous. I'm going to do it. And then, turns out, leads you to a good place. You learn a cool little lesson. You feel a little bit more connected. You go, okay, so that worked out. And then they have you do another. And then they have you take another step. And then they have you take another step. And that's how you build that intimacy, right? And you communicate. I'm scared. I don't want to do this. I'm uncomfortable, right? I had a 5-minute conversation right over here before I even got on here, right? I was like, all right, you want me to do this? I'm going to need another knock on the wall. Yes, do this video? Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, fine. I'll do it, right? Faith in motion. It requires more faith than waiting sometimes. And it doesn't mean just like go just taking crazy ass steps everywhere, right? It's like consult with your spirit team, right? But you know, that led to the other question of like, how much can the universe really do for you? And it's really valid. It's a really valid question. And I guess a lot of it comes down to personal experience and opinion. And for me, my opinion is that there is nothing that God cannot do for you. And for your betterment, I believe that there's nothing that he won't do. In fact, I believe that he fucking delights in it. He delights in leading you into weird places where you're like, I don't know about this. And then he leads you someplace wonderful and you go, wow, I had no idea. Through all the kicking and screaming and complaining and whining that like I was gonna end up here. It's amazing, right? When they told me to just start pulling tarot cards and start making a YouTube channel, right? 9 months ago, 10 months ago, and I had ever known for a second, right, that it was going to lead me here. It was going to lead me to my part of my purpose and my passion and something that I love to do and it excites me. And I've gotten to meet so many wonderful people and I get to connect with so many of you guys. And I've done personal readings for people all over the world, people I never would have thought I would have connected with, people from Brazil and Dubai and Australia and South Africa and London. And it's just like medicine women in the middle of the country. And it's just like, it's the coolest, like I would have never, ever dreamed. And I look back and I was like hooting and hollering the whole way, you know, for good reason. I didn't know where I was headed, you know, but you know, there was a lot of seasons. There's a lot of times where I've just had to wait. I've just had to like bide my time and like, how do I prepare? I don't know where you're taking me next, but what do I do now to prepare for that, right? But it's taken even more faith for me to take that step forward, right? When I didn't know if my foot was actually going to land on something solid. But through all of those experiences, I've built a higher caliber of communication with God and my angels and my guides. You know, I don't have to knock on God's door to talk to him. I just speak and he answers me and it's so beautiful, right? There's a level of trust there. I know when they tell me to do something, even if I don't want to do it, even if I have a little baby freak out, because I be having some freakouts. I do. I know and I trust it's for my highest good. I know it's going to lead me someplace better than I expect because that it's been proven to me time and time and time again. People told it to me, readers, you know, words, sermons, prophets. I'm like, that's a good ass word. Yeah, I like that. but it didn't mean anything until I had to take those steps. And then I got proven that I was supported and that I was loved and that I was seen and that I was not forgotten. And I truly believe that there's nothing that God can't do, and there's nothing for your betterment, for your future, for your prosperity that he won't do. And I think he delights in it. And I always, we talk about like witnesses, right? But like, that's how God, the universe, that's how they make a witness out of other people, is when you go forward and you take a step that no one expected you to take. And you say, I'm going here, I'm doing this because God told me to, because I feel led by the universe to go in this direction. And people are looking at you like you are crazy. And deep down inside, you feel crazy, but you do it, right? And then you hit that rough patch, because there's always that rough patch. You take that step and you're like, okay, I'm doing it. It's like a little kid finally like riding a bike, and then sooner or later, like, you're gonna fall off and be like, I scraped my knee, like, things look kind of rough, and people are looking at you like you're even crazier than they thought you were when you told them you decided to go in a different direction because you were spiritually led to do so, right? And it's like when all hope seems lost, and it's like the shit is at the fan, and everyone's counted you out, boom, that's when God shows up for you. That's when you start doing well. That's when your business starts getting successful. That's when people start noticing you for the skills that you've been working on honing. That's when people notice, he's in alignment. She's doing really well. Wait a second, how'd that happen? And they go, huh, because they'll never admit it to you. But they go, huh, he was right. She might have been right. Maybe God is real. Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. And that's how he starts working on them. That's kind of how it works a little bit. That's how he makes people a witness to how good he is. And they go, well, if he'll do that for her, if he'll do that for him, maybe he'll do it for me too. And thus the cycle continues on. So, there is a point when, yes, you can become too passive. And I believe in aggressive faith, bold faith, controversial faith. But it does require us to take steps. And the beautiful thing about God and your guides and the universe and angels is that it just requires you to take like one step, and then they'll bring you 1,000 miles, like a Vanessa Carlton song. And then they'll have you take another step, and then they'll bring you another 1,000 miles, and another, and another, and another. And next thing you know, this time next year, you're in a totally different place. You feel like a totally different person, because me now, in comparison to me a year ago, I'm a totally different person. The best of me has shined through, has stayed the same since I was a little kid, but I'm so different now. And people know it, and they can see it, and they would have never expected me to do anything that I'm doing, because I would have never expected it. But here I am. I took those steps, I took those leaps, and there are days where it is uncomfortable. There are things to this day, to this exact day, that they're asking me to do that I'm like, oh, don't make me open up my heart to that. I don't want to do that. And they're like, do you remember the last time we asked you to do something? How'd that work out? Remember the time before that? How'd that work out? And I go, oh, all right. Faith in motion. Let's go. Let's do it. And I've never been happier. Growing pains, but it's worth it because we grow. So it's just an email that I had gotten today from one of you guys about how much can God do and passive faith and the waiting. And so that was kind of a bit of my response to her. And I feel as though, and I'm being told, that some of you guys also maybe need to hear that today too, especially with all craziness going on. Need a little pick me up. So I love you guys very much. See, I told you when you guys email me to chit chat, I always read your emails. So that's what I have for you today. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. I love you all very, very much, and I will see you all very, very soon. I'll catch you later. Goodbye.